So we are here at the third part of the testimony and interview with Lindy, and you are a lay Carmelite.
Yeah, I'm a lay Carmelite in the Melkite Byzantine Church, which is it's a Byzantine Catholic church. It's under the Pope, and the Melkite Church is a part of the Byzantine Eastern Catholic Rite, and it's the part of the Byzantine Church which descended from Antioch, and now is Syrian and Lebanese, and so I was accepted in 2021 as a lay hermit. I'm not a sister. I'm not a religious sister. I'm a lay woman, and my vows are as a hermit. So that means my commitment is to prayer and solitude and silence. So I spend a large part of my day in prayer and solitude, and then the other part of the day I spend ministering to people in whatever way the Lord asks me to. Like at home, we have this ministry called Lighthouse, and it's in Scranton, Pennsylvania, in Northeast Pennsylvania, and it's a ministry house. So people, sometimes they would call me, or sometimes they would come there, or they would. Through the years, many people have come there with all kinds of problems and all kinds of needs. Many people from prison, many people with mental or physical disabilities or addictions or various other things, mothers and babies and refugees. But now we just, it's more low-key now because my health is not up to doing a lot as much as I did, in my commitment to prayer and solitude and intercession and penance is the primary commitment now. But people come there, and I try to offer love and hospitality and friendship and encouragement to people there, but the vocation as a hermit traditionally is to offer hospitality, comfort, and spiritual guidance, to people that come. People could call me on the phone or anything,
We put the phone number.
Sure, absolutely.
What's up in
Sure.
the description of the video.
Sure.
And you told me the way, I loved how you told me, it's a bit the same with me. You said it took you a long time to find the vocation.
A very, very, very long time. It was a very painful search, because when I was young, I was in my 20s. I think right around my first or second trip here, I knew I was called. I wanted to give my life in vows, and I thought I was called to be a traditional religious sister in a community, and I really thought that for most of my life. And when I was here, I tried to enter Oasis of Peace, the community here, and it's such a beautiful community, but I knew right away that my calling was to prayer and solitude and to help the poor. And so I knew that wasn't my vocation. When I went back to the U.S., I tried other communities, but there just wasn't a good fit. And so basically I took private vows every year, which are not canonical vows. I was allowed to renew them every year under the Roman Catholic bishop. And but I was alone, and I kept searching and wondering for many years, and feeling a lot of pain, because I kept thinking, I'm not responding. I'm not responding. Our Lady wants somebody to respond and to answer her call, and I don't think I am. And I kept wondering and worrying about it, actually. And it was a great sorrow to me, because I kept thinking, well, my life is passing. I turned 40, and I was thinking, well, I don't know if I'm answering. I tried to pray as a contemplative, and I tried to do ministry. And as I got older, my ability to do a lot of active ministry, because in my younger days I was extremely busy, doing everything you can imagine, going to hospitals, prisons, singing everywhere, doing counseling everywhere, busy every day. I prayed every day, and I prayed a lot every day, a couple hours a day, but I was busy, and very busy. And then as I got older, I couldn't do as much like that. And so little by little, I discovered Carmelite spirituality. I think it was sometime. I started to read about Saint Therese of Lisieux a long time ago. Around the first time I went to Medjugorje, I read about Therese. And her life, the way she expressed herself, she said, I'm so little, I can't do anything. There's no way I could ever make it to heaven, she said. So I'll just, ask God, maybe if he'll just come down and swoop me up in his arms, and I'll get to heaven that way. And she would say, I would like to be the smallest flower in the most hidden part of the woods. And that way I would give just praise to Jesus. And I just loved the things she said. I thought, oh my gosh, Therese. And so then I started reading about other Carmelites, St. John of the Cross and Teresa of Avila. And I just thought, oh my gosh, that is what I felt that was the language of my soul. But I tried to enter Carmelite communities, lay communities, third orders, various things, and I just couldn't. I don't know, it just wasn't meant to be. I was so disappointed. And I said to my sister, I have a wonderful twin sister, and I said, why can't I just do that? I said, what is wrong with me? Well, I should just do it, just to do it. At least I'll belong somewhere. It was already like 20 years into my vows. I was so lonely. And she said, you can't do that. You can't just do that just to do it. God knows where you live. You know, God is close to people that are outcasts, you know. Just be patient. Don't worry. And so then more years went by, and then finally all of a sudden I developed some illnesses, and around 2020 when everybody was getting COVID, I was quite ill. In 2021, my sister said to me, "Are you going to die? Are you okay?" I was really ill. But all of a sudden, I went across the street to the Byzantine church, which is right across from my house. There's a little chapel. It's a beautiful little chapel. And I prayed there, and I talked to this wonderful priest. My pastor, Father Christopher, is a wonderful priest. I went there, and I said, "You know, I think I'm called finally to enter the Byzantine rite. I've been thinking about it for years." And he said, "Yeah, I'll help you." And so I went there, and I just became accepted as a Carmelite hermit. I'm not officially part of the Carmelite order, but I'm a lay hermit in the Byzantine Melkite Church, in the Carmelite tradition. So that's what I do. That's how my life is. And sometimes it takes a very long time to find one's vocation, and it took me a very long time, and I didn't know if I ever would. But now it doesn't matter whether I'm officially accepted or not. Now I just have peace in my heart, and the most important thing you can have is peace in your heart, you know. It's so important to have peace in your heart, because you're at peace no matter what happens in your life. You're not disturbed by little things. I was disturbed by so many things. You know, being blind, so many things could go wrong. You could lose something. You could break something. I was a very nervous person. The kids, I have a niece and nephew, and they used to call me, Lindy is a nervous Nelly. I was always like nervous. I was nervous about everything. It was just the way my life was. I was nervous. I'm not nervous anymore. Even though I have a neurological problem because of Lyme's disease. You know, when you have been bitten by a tick, it sometimes can affect your nerves, like a physical. And if you've had a lot of stress in your life, or you've had like a lot of trauma, and I have had a lot of trauma, sometimes you have like a sort of a weakness. But actually, I'm not anxious. And there's a difference. You know, I have a my nervous system is it's been sort of damaged by Lyme's disease and by the amount of trauma. But I think that, but I'm not anxious. I don't know how to explain it. I don't have anxiety. It's more like a physical weakness, you know. But the weaknesses that we have, you know, the illnesses that we have, or the handicaps, or the disabilities, or whatever. I've been blind since birth, and whatever disabilities you have, you know, there's something you could give to Jesus. There's something you could offer and be like Jesus. He always wants. He's looking for consolation, you know. And he wants us to console him, because he still sees the pains and sufferings in the world and all the sin that's going on in the world, and he suffers still. His suffering is timeless, you know, to save us, and he wants us to join his. That's why St. Paul said, "I make up what is lacking in the sufferings of Christ." You know, you could think to yourself, well, what is lacking in the sufferings of Christ? Nothing could ever be lacking. But Jesus lived here 33 years, and he said in the gospel, "You shall do greater works than these." You know, you shall do the works that I did works, and you shall do my works, and you shall do greater works than I did. And the reason why he said that is because Jesus only lived on the earth physically 33 years, and we're his body now. So we're to carry on the work of Jesus in our suffering, in our life, in our works, in our death, in our resurrections, in our life. You know, so everything we have, every suffering, every joy, every moment is for him. You know, it's wonderful.
And what would you tell people? You know, you waited a long time to find your vocation. What would you suggest to people who look for their vocation? A lot of people here in Medjugorje look for their vocation, but worldwide people look to find that peace, to find the vocation. I
would say that sometimes we have to go through the darkness. All of us have to be prepared. You know, we have to be prepared. Ultimately, we're being prepared for heaven, you know?
Yeah.
So all the different stages of our life are part of the journey to heaven. And we might have to go through a lot of darkness, a lot of sadness, a lot of grief, a lot of pain. St. John of the Cross talks a lot about that we have to be purified of different things, you know. And it's all part of the process, but eventually you come to the place where you let go of attachments, you know. We still have to keep working, we still have to keep progressing toward heaven. And if somebody's worried about their vocation, don't worry. Just trust every moment. Trust that you're on a journey, and you keep putting yourself in the hands of God. You put yourself in the hands of Our Lady, and you just keep saying, "Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I adore you. My mother, I trust in you. I trust in divine mercy. Jesus, I trust in you." And you just keep being like a little child, or like Therese says, be little, or like Saint you know, like St. Mary of Jesus Crucified said, just be nothing in the hands of God. Just St. John of the Cross said, you know, it's the 5-part path of the nada. That's a big thing. And if you want to be something, be nothing. If you want to be exalted, be humble. If you want to be, you know, all that. If you want to be fulfilled, be hungry. If you know, like that. Just try to, you know, just relax and let God work things out, because He will. I promise. Trust me. It took me 35 years.
Me too.
Yeah.
And like Saint Therese de Lisieux said, we are just made to love. That's maybe just to give you a consolation. Just love every second of the day. Be in love, no? Then we are connected to God, and He will guide you every second of the day closer to what you should do, no?
And if you need love,
yeah.
Sometimes people say, well, I can't love because I wasn't loved. I don't know what love feels like. I don't know, you know. And there are people in the world who really want to love you. You know, there really are. There's still love in the world. There's still faith. There's still hope. There's still, you know, you can find love. Like I said earlier, you can just call me. I'll talk to you. You know, there are people that want to make themselves available. There's no reason to give up. You know, there's no reason to despair. Sometimes people do despair. You know, I talked to a lady one time, and I prayed for her, and she was very despairing. And I said, you know, you have to decide whether you want to live or die. And but even if a person decides that they can't live anymore, God knows what's in a person's heart, and God loves. God, there's still a way to find love in the world, and when you experience love, then you can have love to give again. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So beautiful. And you talked about trauma in your life. You know, there's a lot of people these days who have been going through a lot of tough things. What would you give them as
I guess
advice?
I've been so blessed, because I found when I was in I guess eventually it catches up to you. Like if you work really hard in your life, and you just you know, you get kind of worn out. Like one time I went to talk to somebody, and they said, you're kind of like what's that word? A soldier. That's like you go to battle and you come back and you're shell-shocked. And in the old days, you know, they used to put the soldiers into ice cold water to sort of like get rid of the fire of the pain that was in their bodies because of the trauma that they had gone through. And so I think trauma stays in a person's body. Actually, it stays in your body. It stays in your memory and your body. But it could be released. You can be healed of it. You know, when people pray over you, and you can if you can find ways of doing things like going for walks, or if you like to dance, or if you like to, you know, find things to do. Do some artwork, things to express yourself with your hands. Find somebody to talk to about it. But I think it's important to write about it, or do some work with your hands, or you know, dance, get some Christian music on, and you know, do some dancing, or do some painting, or go out for a walk in nature, you know, and look at the flowers, look at the birds, and
take a cappuccino.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah,
it's a good thing to do too.
It's like what you said, like a famous exorcist said here to a friend. He said, the way out of the labyrinth is love. Just like the birds, whatever it is what you like, decoration of flowers, programming, that's the way out of it, no? Is it?
Singing,
like you singing.
I love to sing.
Yes.
I like to do art. I like to make things with my hands. I think that's very healing, you know, to do. Or like if you just find some gentle way of exercise, like even if you just want to go for a little walk, or you know, you just want to do some gentle stretching of your muscles, or just do something, move your arms, reach up your arms to the sky and say, Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I need you. Or just, you know, go outside.
Heart, no?
Breathe in the fresh air, you know.
Wow, beautiful.
Feel the sunshine on your face. Even if it's raining, go outside. Feel the rain on your face, you know.
So
it's God. It's God's love pouring down on us.
Amen. And you said you wanted to talk a bit about the blindness.
Oh yeah, my sister and I have a twin sister. She's a beautiful, wonderful, she's like half of my heart, my beautiful sister. And so we were premature. And my mother gave birth to us at 6.5 months. My mother was a very brave young woman and a wonderful woman. And my sister, her eyes are pretty good, thank God. She can see during the day, but we had too much oxygen in the incubator. And so it damaged my optic nerve. And so I went to a school for the blind. I got a very good education, and I'm very thankful for it. And one thing that we did at school, which was so nice, we played handbells. I don't know if you ever heard of handbells, but they're like bells that you hold, and the top of the bell is up like this, and you hold them at your shoulder, and you go like this, and inside the clapper of the bell hits on the inside of the bell, and each person has a note. Each person is given 2 or 3 bells or 1 bell with a note, and so when you ring the bells with everybody else, it joins together as a choir. And it's so beautiful. That's one thing we did at school. We had so many opportunities. We learned how to swim. I learned Braille. I had such a good education, and I'm so thankful for it. But being blind it's a challenge, but I would say it's one of the least challenges I've had. I don't know. It's hard to, because you get used to things. I had a good education. I learned how to get around. I learned how to read Braille. I went to college. It's not, there's people can overcome their disabilities,
Unbelievable, so beautiful. And you said Luisa Picaretta, no? That's the divine will. You touched that at one point. You want to talk a bit more about
I
that?
just love.
Yeah? Because you have a love for her. No?
It's Joe. I just love her. I talk to her all day.
And also maybe we talked a bit about her already. Talk about Elizabeth Kindleman, the flame
Elizabeth
of
Kindleman.
Yeah.
She actually is a Carmelite.
I didn't know.
Yeah, she's a Carmelite. She's a 3rd order Carmelite. And she's from Hungary, and she lived, I don't know when she died, I forget exactly when she died, I can't remember when, I think it was in the 80s actually, in 1980s sometime, around 85 or 84 or something. And she lived through World War II, she was married, she had a husband, and she had 6 children, but her husband died and she was left all alone, and during the communist regime, and she had to earn a living, and she was extremely poor, and worked very, very hard and suffered a lot, but she loved God so much. And she also wanted to enter a religious community when her husband died and her children were grown, but eventually she became a 3rd order Carmelite, and Our Lady started to give her these messages and tell her about the fact that of the flame of love, which is actually the flame of Our Lady's heart. And the flame in Our Lady's heart is Jesus, the love of Jesus, the love of God that's in Our Lady's heart. She wants to bestow it all over the world. That's why Father Jim Blunt says, he's such a great, wonderful spokesman for our time and such a wonderful anointed prophet and everything. And he says that the flame of love is like, it's what Our Lady told Elizabeth, that it's the weapon against Satan. It blinds Satan. So the reason why it blinds Satan is because the flame of love in Our Lady's heart that she wants to be spread all over the world is the flame of love for the Holy Trinity. And she gave this to Elizabeth, and she told Elizabeth to tell everybody to pray, let the flame of your heart, well, in Medjugorje they say, let the flame of your heart, O Mary, descend on all people. There's a prayer here in Medjugorje, and it's the same prayer. It's almost pure heart of Mary. We love you immensely. Let the flame of your heart, O Mary, descend on all people. And it was given to one of the locutionists, either Yelena or Mariana, I can't remember which one, but it was given to the prayer group at the beginning of the apparition. So the flame of love is also part of Medjugorje, and but the flame of love is like, it blinds Satan. That's why one of the prayers is, let our feet journey together, let our hands gather in unity, let our hearts beat into unison. May our souls be in harmony, may our thoughts be as one. May our glances profoundly penetrate one another, and may our feet may our ears listen to the silence together, and may our lips pray to the Eternal Father to obtain mercy. And the reason why that prayer is so important is that we're praying for everybody in the whole world to be in the unity of the heart of the Holy Trinity. So that's why that prayer, that's why Father Jim Blunt says to pray that prayer, like a lot. Pray it for yourself, pray it for your town. And then the other prayer of the flame of love that we pray in the rosary, spread the effective grace of thy flame of love over all of humanity. We're asking Our Lady to spread the flame of the Holy Trinity's love, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We're asking her to spread it around, because that's what's really going to help everybody in the world. That's why she's here in Medjugorje. That's why she's here, to pour out her flame on the world. And I think through Garabandal and also through Fatima. Even though Garabandal is, the study has been reopened now through Pope Benedict, the investigation has been reopened. And I think Garabandal is a very important, extremely important place for our time, and I think it's going to become more so, especially when the illumination of conscience comes. And
I absolutely believe so too. This is unbelievable. Do you have anything else?
I just want to say thank you for allowing me the privilege to share, and I'm so thankful that I met you, and I'm thankful for everybody that comes to and that prays, and that tries to follow Jesus.
And you said, I think also we talked about this, that thankfulness is a key to
Thankfulness.
joy and to peace, no?
Thankfulness.
To be thankful for what we receive every day, no?
Once you start being thankful, it's easy to be thankful. Because you just look around, you just open your eyes from the minute you get up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
There's just gifts falling down like rain. That was one of the messages that Our Lady gave.
Mm-hmm.
God is pouring down graces like a river.
Yes.
And there's so much to be thankful for from the minute you get up to the minute you go to sleep. Just every breath, every heartbeat, every drop of rain, every breath of air, every morsel of food, every friend, every conversation, everything. Even the sorrows we're thankful for.
Yes.
Because they work miracles if you unite them to Jesus.
Yes.
So thankful so
intention,
much.
no?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful interview.
Well, thank you.